Hey guys, welcome back to Dasker Discusses. Today I'm going to be talking about the... Whoops, sorry. Today I'm going to be talking about the film called Nobody. Yep, and what about Nobody? This is going to be a pretty quick review, guys, so let's get to this, shall we? Now, what's interesting about this film is the following. Stop that. What's it about? I know I'm a few months behind, maybe a couple of months behind. A bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becomes the target of a vengeful drug lord. Directed by Iya Nashula, stars Bob Odenkirk, Alexei Serebryakov, and Connie Nielsen. What's interesting about this is Bob Odenkirk, you may remember him from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Now, this film, without giving anything away, it pretty much says it right there. Like a bystander, in the first probably quarter of this film, you just see our main character, whose name, actually, let me just double check, Hutch, just go about his daily business. He's got a job, he's got a wife, he's got kids. It's like very repetitive, very good use of editing. How you see this guy's repetitive, kind of monotonous, boring kind of life, and then one night people break into his house, and we get a glimpse of like how he disarms them or what actually happens. He doesn't actually do anything too vicious, and he's got this relationship with his son where he's actually not too happy about how that went about. Like the dad kind of just froze and like let them go. Now the dad starts trying to track down who these people were because they took something of his daughter's, like I think it was like a little bunny ring or something like that. And then from that, you know, the first quarter of this film, first 20-25 minutes, you're like, okay, well, this guy is literally a nobody. Then he protects this girl on a bus from a group of bystanders and something happens. And then from there, you get a kind of an action sequence which was really out of nowhere. It kind of did remind me a lot of John Wick, where I'm like, okay, did that actually just happen? So as the film goes on, I must say this. The beginning of the film is a bit slow, but then as it picks up, as this guy does what it says in the synopsis, I'm not really spoiling anything here, but when he gets vengeance on these guys who are harassing this person on the bus, then we find out what's more to this story. And as the movie goes on, there's more action sequences, and we find out more about our main character, about him being a nobody. Now, what I found about this was that it was really, really reminiscent of John Wick to some certain extent. Just some scenes and some ways in which the main character here, Hutch, Bob Odenkirk, plays his role. It's especially the first John Wick. It's that cliched Russian mobster thing versus one guy. I just found it very kind of like taking a carbon copy out of John Wick for the first half of the film, right? Then the second half of the film, I must say, it gets a bit more over the top with a few things. Let's put it this way. The last act of the film, I believe, is like, I don't know if anyone's seen Rambo Last Blood, or in any of the Rambos, especially when Rambo gets his vengeance on the bad guys. Like use of traps and the amount of violence, it is actually way over the top, but it is entertaining. So in terms of Nobody, it is a interesting mixture of John Wick, Rambo, and some comedic scenes, which you will be very surprised. I mean, Christopher Lloyd is in this, and I was like, wow, okay. He looks pretty old, but he actually plays a really funny role. Michael Ironside, the guy from Total Recall, is in it as well, and RZA playing Harry Manziel. There is some interesting roles in this, but again, in terms of recommending it, I do recommend this because it shows you how just a simple nobody, you know, when pushed too far, can actually do some damage. But I think that whole concept of him being a nobody, when you find out who he actually is, kind of like disappears halfway through more so for the last act of the film, his background and all that kind of stuff. But it was entertaining. It was an easy kind of watch. There wasn't anything too complicated about it. But in terms of like, is it groundbreaking? Not really. I would rather watch John Wick again, 1, 2, or 3. It's got elements of Taken in it. But again, I would say this. You get John Wick, you get Rambo, put them together, you get something like Nobody. but more comedy than Rambo. Rambo's a bit too serious and doesn't take itself too seriously. Well, this doesn't take itself too seriously, but there is some suspension of disbelief in it as well. Some things that you're just like, there's no way that could happen. There's no way he could actually defend himself from that, but whatever. In the end, Nobody's got a 7.4 out of 10 ranking on IMDb. Don't worry about Rotten Tomatoes for now. We'll just leave it at IMDb. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for me. So that's it. Nobody is a 7 out of 10. So before you guys leave, just so you know, I also have a TikTok account which I do some impressions in. So if you want to check that out for some quick comedy, go right ahead. Also an Instagram page where I post all this kind of stuff as well. Well, more so the movie and game review stuff. So that's it from me. I'm just going to wrap this up, and it's been a great stream, I must say. Just want to say thank you to all the followers out there, whether you be, just stay safe, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of